think of Vikings, you might think of red-haired individuals with big horns on their helmets. In reality, the Vikings were some pretty violent people that engaged in some dark practices. Starting off this countdown, we have Berserker. Between the 8th to mid-11th century, the Vikings were known to be very aggressive. In fact, when they were at battle, they would go into this trance-like state that was called Berserker. Once in this state, they would violently kill anyone who got in their way. Well, theory goes that this state was actually caused by eating magic mushrooms. Apparently, the mushrooms that grew in their area would cause hallucinations and would also increase their adrenaline levels, hence why they act so violently and out of control. Like nowadays, people do shrooms and just chill out and watch Dora the Explorer. Imagine doing a whole battle while tripping out. In our 9th spot, we have the burning bodies. But before I go any further, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up because it really helped us out. In Norse religion, after death, it was said that warriors went into these great realms. But in order to get there, they needed a vessel. So when someone died back then, Vikings would place their body on a boat and push them off to sea. These boats were often surrounded by weapons and goods, even sometimes human sacrifices, all to help them get to their end destination. Not only that, but the more wealthy Vikings would actually burn the boat with the deceased on them and then push them out to sea. That's a pretty creepy image if you ask me, just watching a flaming dead body. Or bodies. In our 8th spot, we have the imbalance. Turns out that the Vikings were killing off so many women that they started having an uneven gender ratio. This was because men were considered stronger than women. Also because the Norse values sons more than daughters. Over the years, archaeologists found tons of young female skeletons, so it was believed that they would get rid of them when they were young. Coming in at number 7, we have the teeth. Back in the day, Vikings would painfully file and dye their teeth. Archaeologists recently unearthed evidence of this. Basically, they would file their teeth down. Some would file horizontal parallel lines in their front 2 teeth, and some even dyed them. Often red. Yeah, not white, red. And then the dye would seep into the carvings and stand out. Doesn't this kind of remind you of something? Yeah, everything is coming full circle. Remember that whole trend on TikTok of people filing down their own teeth by themselves? Wow. Now the purpose of this filing remains unclear, but some think it may have to do with their status as a great fighter. Other people believe that it was done to scare off their enemies. In our 6th spot, we have the bloody soup. This was a practice that women would use when caring for an injured Viking. It was used to gauge how bad their flesh wounds were. So basically, they would make a broth out of onions, leeks, and herbs. Then they would feed this to the injured Viking. After he finished eating it, they would then smell the wound. Yes, smell the wound. If they could smell the soup, then they knew the wound was way too deep and there was no sense helping the warrior. They would just die soon anyways. But if there was no smell, then good on them. The dude was good and they would actually treat them. Isn't that insane? Imagine if hospitals made us do that, like down a crap ton of onions and then sniff us. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the blood tasting. This is another really weird practice that the Vikings would do. So basically, women would use the blood of a wound to figure out more about the injury. They would do this by tasting the blood. I mean, there's not much information on this practice, but still, it's quite gross, but also kind of fascinating. Like, how could they tell the difference between a fatal wound and a non-fatal wound just by tasting someone's blood? Totally blows my mind. Again, thankfully this isn't a practice doctors and nurses use today. Moving on at number 4, we have an eye for an eye. The Vikings had a pretty messed up justice system. Thank gosh, it's not like this still. But basically, killing someone wasn't always illegal. For example, they believed in an eye for an eye. So if someone, let's say, killed your wife, you could then kill the murderer. But then it would get complicated because then the murderer's family could kill you and then it would just be this like perpetual killing cycle. They also had a thing called holmgangs, which was a way of settling disputes. Basically, these were fights to the death. If one person did you wrong, you could ask them to a duel. If the person who was challenged doesn't show up, Then they were deemed guilty, and anyone was allowed to kill that person. Again, I'm glad this isn't a thing anymore. In our third spot, we have the games. Obviously, they weren't playing jump rope or hopscotch for fun. No, they had some pretty dark games, like a swimming competition, except you're not swimming. In fact, you would hold your opponent underwater for as long as you could. If the man didn't resurface, then you won, and the dude died. So basically they were playing murder. Moving on to number 2, we have the human sacrifices. For a number of years, scientists believed Vikings did not partake in human sacrifice. That was until 1990, when an archaeologist made a quite interesting discovery. While using a metal detector, the archaeologist found jewelry and weapons along the edge of a lake. He kept digging and eventually came across evidence of human sacrifice that dated back to the Viking Age. Then in the 1930s, a series of ancient wells were excavated. That's when they found bone remnants of 5 people. Again, suggesting this. According to Vikings, sacrifices helped re-establish their connection to the gods, and they would only do this when things were going bad for them. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Blood Eagle. Now this one is fairly graphic. Blood Eagle is a method of ritual execution. Basically, the victim would be restrained, their face down. Then the shape of an eagle with its wings out would be carved into their back. And then their ribs would be cut off, one by one. Finally, they would take the skin and pull it apart to make it look like a pair of wings. Ever seen the show Hannibal? It reminds me of that one episode from season 1. If you know, you know. But it gets worse. You would still be alive while all of this happened. And then a saline solution would be poured all over your body. Okay, I can barely take hand sanitizer in a paper cut, so that would be brutal. The last step was taking the victim's lungs and spreading them over the wings. Starting off this countdown, we have the swords. The Vikings were armed with a number of weapons, like long axes and spears. But the weapon they liked the most were their long swords. These swords would then be passed down from generation to generation. Before passing their sword down to their son, they would share stories of who they killed with their sword and what battle was like. In fact, they were so protective of their swords that they would always carry them on their backs, and they would sleep with them beside them, because you had to be armed and ready at all times. Now, I think the creepiest part of this whole thing is that they would give their swords disturbing names, like calling them the Widowmaker or the Corpse Bramble, so on and so on. That is pretty messed up if you ask me. In our 9th spot, we have the cremation ceremony. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps us out. Okay, this next point is extremely messed up. So after the death of a chief, they had this really weird cremation ceremony for him, which involved a number of dark things. So after the chief died, his body was left in a grave for 10 days. During those 10 days, new clothes were being made for him. Then one of his slave girls were selected to join him in the afterlife, meaning they would kill her. So on that day, the girl was given a number of drinks to intoxicate her. Then she had to get it on with every man in the village. When she was dead, she was placed alongside the chief on a ship. They did this so that the chief would have someone to serve him in the afterlife. And then the boat containing the two were set on fire and pushed out to sea. Moving on to number 8, we have the sacrifices. Apparently every 9 years, 81 people were sacrificed during Yule. Yule was thought to have happened on January 12th and was celebrated to either honor the dead or get good luck in the new year, to celebrate the sun and light, or to honor Thor. We don't know for sure, but those are just some possibilities. This was celebrated for 9 days. Each day, 9 heads would be offered to the gods, meaning in the end, there would be 81 people sacrificed for the gods. Their bodies were hung by the temples. So that's absolutely horrifying. Coming in at number 7, we have Eric the Red. So the Vikings were known for their brutal killings. I mean, they were pretty violent. But there was one dude that was way too violent to be a Viking. Imagine that. This guy's name was Eric the Red. He was given that name due to his red hair and red beard and because of his tendency to kill. He had a nasty, nasty temper. In 980, Eric's servant caused a landslide that destroyed his neighbor's house. So the servant was killed, and this infuriated Eric, who then killed his servant's killer and another member of his clan. In the end, this got him banished, so he moved. And this time, he was living more north in Iceland. But while living there, he got into another fight with a different neighbor. Eric went on to kill this neighbor as well. As a result, he was banished again. So this guy just had a life of conflict and killing. Moving on, at number 6 we have the odd pets. Nowadays we have hamsters, birds, fish, and dogs and cats as household pets. Well, back in the day, it was kind of the same. The Vikings enjoyed having pets. They had cats and dogs, but also falcons, peacocks, and bears. Oh my. They would have bears as pets. So they would go around trapping bear cubs and then would raise them as members of their family. Typically it would be brown bears, but some even had polar bears. But polar bears were meant mainly for noblemen. Here's the thing though, if their bear ever got loose and injured someone, well, the owner would have to pay the price, either by death or they would be banished. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the repurposing. I don't know how else to name this, and you'll see why. So it turns out that the Vikings were quite resourceful. I mean, they managed to find a way to turn their own urine into fire. Don't know how they discovered this or why they tried to experiment with their urine, but they did. So basically, they would boil touchwood, which was a tree bark fungus, and they would boil it in a pot of urine. They did this for days, and I can only imagine how bad that must have smelt. Anyways, when that was done, they would take the bark and pound it into a strip of felt-like material. Again, who came up with this idea? Like, oh, I'm just gonna pee and then take some bark, put it in, boil, and who came up with this? Anyway, because of the sodium nitrate in urine, these strips would smolder rather than burn. So they would just carry around these little urine strips and start a fire wherever they went. How resourceful. Seriously, who the hell thought of that? I don't know. Moving on to number 4, we have the battle rituals. Viking warriors were actually pretty superstitious when it came to their battles. As a result, they had a special ritual they would perform before their battles. First off, each of their weapons were marked with different symbols. These symbols represented things like strength, luck, and courage. They also were very cautious. Days leading up to the battle, they would look out for any omens. If they thought they found a bad omen, they would do what they could to reverse it. And lastly, they would make battle sacrifices. They would sacrifice big, strong animals like boars, stallions, or bulls. I guess the thought was they are sacrificing their strength and in return are asking the gods for strength and support in battle. Moving on to number 3, we have the spirits. The Vikings believed that once they buried the dead, that they could come alive again, like zombies, and harm the townspeople. So they took several precautions to avoid this from ever happening. Number 1, they would tie the dead's big toes together, and nails were pressed into the soles of their feet. This was done so that if they woke up, they wouldn't be able to walk. When the dead person in the coffin was carried out of the house, the carriers would stop walking and make a shape of the cross with the coffin by lowering and raising it. Sometimes the person was carried out through a thing called a corpse door. Basically, it was a hole in the wall that they would make. They would then carry the dead through the hole and then patch it back up. They did this because they believed the dead could only return the same way that they came. But if the hole was patched up, they wouldn't be able to get back in that way. The body was also carried out feet first, so that the corpse couldn't see which route they were taking to get to their burial spot. And sometimes their entire head and eyes were just wrapped and covered as an extra precaution. And lastly, when the coffin was at the burial spot, they would have to turn over any items previously used by the dead person, like chairs, stools, mugs, etc. Again, this was all done with fear that they would come back from the dead. And at number 2, we have the Draugr. The Draugr is an undead creature from Norse mythology. It's basically a zombie. So it's said that this zombie creature was created if a corpse was not buried in a horizontal position, but they were left upright. Typically, people that were mean or greedy in their life would become these creatures. Once they came back to life, they would wait in their graves, surrounded by treasures. If a grave robber came to ransack them, well, they would have to go through the Draugr first. In fact, they were believed to have superhuman strength, and they were described as having a terrible decaying smell to them, and were hideous to look at. They would kill their victims by crushing them, devouring them, or driving them insane. This is what also led the Vikings to take such caution when burying the dead. They did not want them coming back to life as this zombie creature. And in our number 1 spot, we have the blot. The blot was another form of sacrifice for the gods. This was a blood sacrifice to show gratitude towards them, and it was performed publicly multiple times per year. When performing this sacrifice, animals were sliced over an altar of stones. The blood was then collected and passed around. But wait, it gets worse. As it was passed around, people took sips of the blood while chanting along. Then the body of the animal was passed around while the chanting continued. And finally, the animal was then saturated in its own blood. The bigger the animal that was sacrificed symbolized a higher level of gratitude towards the gods. Now, this ritual was said to happen 4 times or more per year. It was done for the winter solstice, spring equinox, summer solstice, and autumn equinox. Not only that, but if anything bad happened, like let's say they had a bad harvest, then they would do this ritual to call to the gods for help.